Hi everybody. So I just went over this entire reading lesson and the iPad stopped recording because apparently there wasn't enough room on it. So I'll have to figure that out and I'm going to do this again. After I go through all of this, first of all, to get started, you need your reading binder and you need a colored pencil. So make sure you have both of those, and if you don't, pause this and go get them, okay? Also, I just want to remind you that when this video is over, that you are going to make your own video. You're going to click add response in the reading activity that you clicked on this video in, and you are going to make your own video, and you can either use the Seesaw video that's right there, but you'll have a 5-minute limit, which should be enough, or you can use your phone or iPad and upload it in that same area where it says, I think, upload. So what you're going to do for your video is you're going to hold up all of the pages for 5 and 6, chapter 5 and 6, that I can see that you did all of them. And I should see some colored pencil marks where you made some corrections as we go over them right now. We're going to go over them like we would in class, except obviously we won't be able to have discussion. So you may have a little bit of a different answer than I do, but if you have concern that your answer you still think it's right and you want my feedback on it, include that in your video and I will reply in the comments to your video, okay? So let's get started. I'm not going to go over the vocabulary. You should have done the vocabulary activities on Spelling City. I think there's about 5 of you that didn't get them done. And you can still do them, but we're moving forward, and you're going to need to know those words for the end of book test. So, all right, the next page is the antonym page, which you'll show it to me just like I'm showing it to you. I'll go over them very quickly. Remember, antonyms are opposites. Inquiring means to ask, so the antonym would be replying, because that would be an answer. Hesitated means sort of to pause reluctantly. The opposite of that would be maybe to hurry up, which our vocabulary word that means hurry is hasten. So the antonym for hesitated is hasten, and it really should be hastened with the ed, but it's still got the same general meaning. Okay. The next one, toxic, means poisonous, so the antonym is harmless. Disgruntled means unhappy with something, so the antonym is dislike. And savor means to enjoy something, and wait a minute, I said the wrong thing. Disgruntled means to be upset with something, so the opposite is satisfied. And savor means to enjoy something, so the opposite is dislike. See, I hate these things where you have to draw lines, because I get mixed up even when it's my own lines. All right, so sorry about that. Disgruntled, the antonym is satisfied, and savor, the antonym is dislike. Sorry. Okay, short answer questions. What did James want to tell the director of the Water Management Department to do? And why did James think that was necessary? Now I'm going to model for you how you can do a wrap answer without having to use every single word and without having to do extra sentences. Even though this is a 2-sentence question, you can do a complete wrap answer with 1 sentence. James, which I abbreviated JJ, told the director to plug the canal because he thought La Playa's water was in jeopardy. Took that straight from the book, and I restated, and I didn't have to do it in 2 sentences. Number 2, what kind of work was Caruso doing? Now, I read this question to mean, what was he doing when Liza Kay and James ran into him? And at that moment, he was washing out cans that he had collected. Now, you may have read it to mean what was his job that he had taken, which was that he was picking up old battery fluid and crankcase oil. but that's not what he was doing when they ran into him. So either answer would be fine. But what's important is that he was washing out these cans and he doesn't know what was in them, because that's sort of what we call foreshadowing, a hint that that might be important later. Liza Kay found out the land of Gumbo Limbo Hammock was owned by the Old Cypress Railroad Company. What are borrow pits and what was their purpose? Borrow pits are pits, holes in the ground that were dug because the county wanted to get the materials, the natural resources out of the ground, rocks and other materials, to build roads. And so it just left this big hole in the ground, which was a pit, and it got filled in through just natural occurrences, weather. Number 5, what did Caruso say he was going to do with the money he would earn from his job? Why was he going to do that? Again, 2-part question, but I can answer it in one sentence because I can be complete enough in that answer. Caruso said he was going to buy chickens with the money to feed Dajan because he wanted Dajan to stay in Gumbo Limbo Hole. Show me so I can see that you did them all and if you had any additions or corrections. Okay. Number 5, discussion questions. Liza Kay thought that Caruso's job was a good thing because he was helping to recycle paint cans. Do you agree or disagree? And why? That why part's important. Whenever you get a why, that means you have to elaborate. Okay? Hopefully you all think that recycling is a good thing. But what was in those cans? They're having problems with the water supply. Maybe there's a cause and effect relationship there. Number 1 again, because I just noticed that typo. How does Liza Kay describe the hammock to Miss Dade? Why doesn't Liza Kay tell Miss Dade about the wonders of Gumbo Limbo Hammock? Liza describes the hammock as a mess because of the tourists and the traffic, the carbon dioxide, the condos. The reason she does that is because she doesn't want Miss Dade to come out there and check it out. Which the answer to the next question is the why part. What do you think might happen because Miss Dade found out about Gumbo Limbo Hammock? Well, I think the author wants you to think that Miss Dade might go there and find the homeless people, and she might report them or she might help them. And whatever day these were assigned, your response to me was supposed to be to tell me who you shared your answers with and to share one of your questions with me and answers. And several of you chose that one, and you had some good answers. Number 3, chart the ecological problems. That was confusing directions. Basically, it just means almost like a little mini timeline, but without the dates, of the problems that James, and Liza Kay have discovered. Well, they discovered the salt water intruding in the fresh water. They discovered the blue algae. They discovered many dead fish. And now the town's water supply is in jeopardy. Now, how do you predict the problems might be solved? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. It's the kind of things I wish we were in class for, especially. Maybe we'll do some of these questions on a Zoom call so that we can share our answers. But I wanted to go ahead and get this done today, and Miss Brown has you for Zoom today. What prediction about the voice or voices that Liza Kay heard in the swamp? What is your prediction? I'd love to know what you think about that too. I'm not going to share my prediction because it might be too much of a spoiler. All right. Oh, and you need to remember to show me your pages when you're done, and your chapter 6 vocabulary and figurative language. Number 7, I want to live in Gumbo Limbo Hole forever. Obviously, that's hyperbole because you can't live there forever. It's an exaggeration, so it's non-literal. It means she wants to live there a long time. Dajan is like lightning when he wants to be. It's a simile, non-literal. He is not like a bolt of electricity in the sky. What he is fast. Okay. Short answers. Chapter 6, describe how the armadillos get their food. Well, and that's part 1. Part 2, what did Liza Kay conclude about their feeding habit? Part 3, do you agree? Part 4, why or why not? Well, the way they get their food is they dig insects and larvae out of the ground with their long claws and snouts. Now, Liza Kay was concluded that the salt water had intruded into the soil of the hammock and killed the insects, and that's why the armadillo stopped coming to the hammock. But I don't know if you agree or disagree, but your opinion has to be based in fact. And think about the fact that the hammock was so high and the fresh water is on top, so it doesn't make sense. With the hammock being the highest ground, the fresh water floating on top, the hammock would be the last place for the salt water to reach. But the armadillos weren't there eating. They were in the piney areas, which were lower. So her conclusion doesn't make sense. And it's just, she's thinking, she's just trying to think of all the possibilities. Number 2, when Liza Kay saw her mom with her shoulders slumped and her head bowed low, what did Liza Kay fear had happened and what had really happened? Liza Kay feared that her father had come back, but what really had happened was her mom was very discouraged and pretty sure she wasn't going to get the job at the diner as a manager that she wanted, because there was a man that was applying for it and she thought he had a better chance. But happy news, Liza Kay her mom told her, was that her dad had moved up north to get therapy for his emotional problems that had caused him to abuse her. And I'm going to have to hurry because I'm already over the amount of time for Seesaw, so this is going to have to be in YouTube, and I only have a few minutes left for that. Number 4, finish the quote. James said humans can't improve on a swamp because if you change one thing, and we talked about this in reading, you talked about this in science, if you change one thing in an ecosystem, you change the whole ecosystem. All right, detergents and soap. What is the difference? And why do the woods people use soap instead of detergent? And it's because the detergent has phosphates. And the phosphates harm the environment when they get into the water supply. They kill the plants and animals. Soaps are made of natural things that are not harmful to plants or animals, and they clean just as well. So the main thing you need to realize, they both clean, but detergents harm the environment because of the phosphates. What did Liza Kay discover when she saw Priscilla's notebook? She discovered the pages were blank. And what was Priscilla really doing with the mini gin bottles? We had lots of predictions on that. I bet you not many of you predicted that she was making hummingbird feeders with them. Now, what I don't understand is why they had to be gin bottles. If like the miniature gin bottles are a different shape or something, that for their for them to be able to get the nectar, I don't know. It's an interesting question. Okay. And then the discussion questions. The Army Corps of Engineers, they built canals to drain water from the Everglades below Lake Okeechobee. The locks and dams were built and the black soil was exposed so crops could be grown there. Nutrients and chemicals ran off from spraying the crops into the Everglades River. Weeds grew and choked out the fish. Birds died from the lack of fish. Mammals disappeared. I'm sorry, I'm having to rush through this. And then, of course, the last one, where do you think the PCP came from? Lots of good thoughts. I don't want to spoil it for you. Okay, I'm excited to have a Zoom call with y'all tomorrow. And remember to hit add response when you go back into Seesaw in the reading activity and make a video for me so that I can see that you did all these, and then ask me if you have any questions, share your predictions. Can't wait to see your faces. Bye.